gads, where are we?
Okay.
What is this? What is this place? What is this wall? What is this? What is this? Who are you? Welcome.
Welcome to Me Time.
To Me Time episode 24. Yeah, you can see I wasn't very subtle about that, was I?
No.
It's a brand new environment that we're sitting on, a brand new casting couch.
No. No.
Yeah.
Retractable statements.
No, we're not saying that, Matthew, but I just did.
Yeah.
No, it's a brand new environment, of course, because we wanted to, at the same time as the legitimate reason being, like, the room that we normally film Me Time in is in use, can't use it. The second reason is we wanted to leap onto this opportunity rather than wait for another day to film it, to give a prelude of what is to come in the future of Me Time as well. It won't always be the same environment, and it won't always be the same format as well.
Yeah, we've got some interesting things coming along.
Yeah, so it's all in the discussion phase at the moment.
Yeah.
Nothing official to confirm just yet, but you will be able to expect environments like this and perhaps other environments as well. So, to carry on with our agenda of solo leveling and windbreaker, today with episode 24, we're talking about the correlations that they have to video games. And I know, but Matthew, you spoke about video games in the last agenda. First of all, shut up. Secondly, I'm sorry. Lastly, trust me. Trust me on this, okay?
There's methods of madness.
Methods of madness, of course. That's, I mean, methods of madness.
Yeah, how'd that work?
Anyways, so what I wanted to start this episode off by saying before I dive in is that the reason I wanted to take some time to focus on the correlations of a video game isn't purely because, oh, look, there's things that relate to games in these shows. It's not just that. It's the
So that was pretty obvious.
It is. There's just overruling themes. So, yes, if you have seen Solo Leveling, and I'm assuming you have because you're on the second episode of the agenda when we gave you the spoiler warning in the first one, it's obvious. It's so obvious that it is inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. You literally have portals appearing all over Tokyo called dungeon portals or gates. But these gates, these red gates and these blue gates, are portals into dungeons. That's what they are. And you have to defeat a dungeon to get all of the loot and to clear the gate. That is essentially what Dungeons and Dragons is. Going into dungeons, that's what the first original game was. You find these dungeons, you loot, you defeat all of the enemies, and you get all the loot and you save the day. Nowadays, Dungeons and Dragons is more about the world and the dungeons that you can find, and dungeons being an overall name for an area or a thing that you have to focus on. So a combat element. And the dragons, yes, there are dragons in the games, but dragons represents the enemies that you have to slay and defeat and face as well.
I think the interesting thing that Solo Leveling does is it kind of puts that world into like a realist scenario. Like, if you're finding this loot sort of thing, what's its actual value in the real world sort of thing? Like, you can't see the sort of the markets happening in Solo Leveling because like the I can't remember the names now.
Of what? Sorry.
I can't remember their names.
Well, the hunters.
No.
Try back a bit.
The weapons that they use are artifacts.
Oh, gotcha.
So they sort of sell artifacts or all that sort of stuff, and then also the some of their sort of the coins that they use is also then used for like creating energy in the world. That's quite an interesting sort of scenario.
It very much is, and I liked that purely because from the first episode we established that when these gates appear and when this loot can be found, it's really cool that you can find these artifacts and these magical powers and all of this stuff that can bring profit and health to the world, like new cures and this, that, and the other, you know. But powers are given to a lot of people that then become hunters. But the powers that you get are the powers that you have, and you will get no stronger. There's no chance of you improving. You can refine and perfect the way you use your abilities, but the strength and the overall power and level of that will not increase. They established that. So as soon as you're given your rank, you will get no higher. Of course, Jinwoo is the exception to this as well. Jinwoo was an E-rank hunter, and after his awakening in the can't remember what episode it was, the second or the third episode. I want to say it's the second episode.
Oh, it's the second.
Formerly the third episode.
Yeah.
This box appears above his head like a hologram box, whilst he's woken up in the hospital, and he's like, "How the hell? How did I get here?" This box appears, and when he starts to read the text on the font, it looks as though it is just a box that would appear after you complete a level on a video game.
It's kind of funny when the box appears, like he doesn't even know what it is. He has to sort of ask his sister, like, "You use the game once, did you?" He's like, "Yeah. What's this? What are these boxes for?" He's like, "They're for messages."
So the brilliance of that is that Jinwoo's not too familiar with video games. You know, he's a sweet, innocent little boy, and he's been focusing on just providing for his family the whole time. So he hasn't had the time for such luxury or recreation. So when this comes along, the tasks are given to him. He is like, you need to complete a certain amount of sit-ups and press-ups a day. You need to go for a run. Man gets absolutely ripped in the hospital. In the road for recovery, the nurses legitimately start swooning over him. It's quite funny. He's just, through like his 2 weeks recovery in the hospital, the nurse is just like, "When did you get a six-pack so quickly?" And he's just like, because he found out, obviously, if he doesn't do these things, then he's punished for it, and he's taken to this different realm. But when he does do things that the game asks him to do, when these messages pop up and say, like, "You can do this," he can increase his stats, which is what happens in D&D. When you level up, when you do things in the game that will give you more experience points. So looting, hunting, defeating enemies as well, achieving a part of a story, doing basically anything in D&D that is productive and moves the story and your character's progression forward as well. And I'd say, in my opinion, as a DM, I encourage role play, immersion, and just engaging in any form in the game. And if I can see people are really trying and giving it their all and having fun, then I reward that with experience points as well. You know, or like in my opinion, you get experience points for turning up to a session. Not loads, but like if you're there you go. You've been given given the rundown of how to level up in D&D, especially in your game. But of course, Jinwoo has that, and he has 6 statistics that he can improve upon. And when I saw them and the icons, and of course he was increasing strength. I think the other one wasn't dexterity; it was agility. It was constant. One of them was definitely constitution, and then he had intelligence, wisdom, and charisma as well. Instead of dexterity, it was agility, and I was just like, well, that's just plain and simple. That's just D&D. That's just D&D. He's putting, as he levels up, he's putting more stats into his strength.
It's interesting, because when I think after season 1, like he's put all his stats into strength, and then comes across like basically an army of knights, and he's under the impression that because he's so strong, he'd be able to take these guys on. He then finds out during the battle, midway through the battle, he's like, "Oh crap! I should have got intelligence as well because I should have noticed as miles off."
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's the brilliance of that. One believes to be able to defeat an opponent or win a fight, you have to be strong for it. So Jinwoo's stats, he put all of his skill points into strength. And granted, that did make him beat some of the lesser enemies, like the goblins and the wolves. He was able to defeat them. But like you said, when other enemies came up, he needed to think of different ways to defeat them. His constitution needed a big increase, which really helped him in his final battle against the ant as well, because the ant was a very feral, vicious fighter that resorted to poisoning him.
Yeah.
And he said, one strike of this and you're poisoned. He's like, he turned around and said, bro, my constitution is so high that it's not affecting me.
Yeah.
It's like, I hate to break it to you, but I'm leagues above you. At this point in time, Jinwoo's statistics, he'd balanced them out and he'd like increased them. He was less focused on his stats and he was more focused on the powers granted to him.
Yeah, I think
to develop them.
I think you've seen a differentiation between season 1 and season 2, and that is in season 1 is sort of very sort of basic sort of fighting in regards to like very sort of hand to hand, 1-on-1 sort of combat, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then into season 2, over time you sort of begin to realise that he sort of develops strategy as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just I'm gonna beat you to a pulp sort of thing. There's a lot of sort of strategy that will go in sort of taking out an enemy role and sort of like strength is all that needs sort of thing.
Yeah, well that's again the correlation to the game itself. It's not just a live to win, play to win moment. Is how do I get to this outcome in the most logical way? Sometimes a scenario, a dungeon, or a dragon doesn't require brute strength. It requires a smart mind. It requires a conversation as well. Like when he was speaking to the Frost Elf at the start of the second series. So Jinwoo had just defeated a whole load of knights. He'd defeated Ygritte, isn't it? Ygritte, Ygritte, the bloodbred, and he'd developed his powers, and he's basically got an army of knights and shadow knights behind him. And the viewer is genuinely thinking, with all of these frost elves in front of him, why don't, and we both thought this, why don't you just summon the knights? What is stopping you?
Yeah.
But the frost elf was in front of him, speaking away, and he was just having a conversation. He was, I can't remember the words exactly, but Jinwoo was just like, who are you? Why are you doing this, basically? The Frost Elf is like, my name is so-and-so. I do this because I want to. I'm more powerful than you, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. But then Jinwoo, with his high charisma, calls him out on it and just goes, but beyond the dungeon, beyond that, if that's all that you do know that there's like, you basically have free will. There's nothing else. And then he causes the Frost Elf to glitch.
Yeah.
Quite literally glitch. And that made him go, oh, that was weird. He doesn't call it out, because at this moment in time, Jinwoo's prime goal was to get everyone out of the dungeon, provide for everyone, get them out, get them all safe, and get his mother back to safety. Bring her back to life, basically. Yeah. But I genuinely, that has been bugging me a lot, that scene. And I know we're going to get an explanation, but it just goes to show that the whole thing is a simulation. But these dungeons, it's almost the hologram that appeared above his head. It is a holographic state, these dungeons and gates that they go to, because he broke the system. He called out the system, which is the system is controlling him. And then he called out the system itself, and it malfunctioned. It glitched. And then what did the Frost Elf do? The Frost Elf repeated the same speech and the same pattern that it always does, as though it is scripted into it. It is not programmed to have free will or do anything else. So when Jinwoo realized that, he was just like, nah, I'm out of here. Nah, enough of this. And that's when he decided, just like, let's go. Let's defeat you guys and let's get on with it, basically.
I think he sort of like noticed it and sort of like he knew his priority at the time was sort of like getting the individual sort of out.
Yeah.
Because it definitely plays in his mind further on in the series.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who he meets, but it's one of the sort of like Princess of Demon Realm sort of thing. I can't remember.
Yeah, she did have free will.
Yeah, but then she also
Almost.
She had sort of free will, but she did glitch out when questions were asked of her.
Oh, yeah, she did. She did glitch. Yeah.
But she gave more an answer than the Frost Elf did. But it's still very vague. We still don't have much information on it.
Of course, manga readers are just going to be sitting back, listening and watching to this, just like peasants.
Yeah,
they know the answer. But I mean,
we get to enjoy it.
Well, but that's just it. When I speak on behalf of just Elliott and I, when we enjoy an anime, we like to experience the anime. That's not a thing against the manga. In fact, we've been advocates for manga. Go watch the art agenda. We just like to experience that first. And granted, there are animes where I decide to read the manga side by side, like One Punch Man, for example, because the wait between series 1 and series 2 was so great that I genuinely thought series 2 wasn't happening. So it's just like everyone's hyping up series 2 so much, the premise of series 2. Why are people so excited for it when it's like he's just a hero that just can defeat anyone with one punch? It was the first series was funny, badass but funny. So why is everyone so hyped? I read the manga. Yeah, I saw why everyone was hyped. I instantly was just in awe of the antagonist. Garou, was his name. Are you familiar? Have you watched One Punch Man yet?
I've watched 2-3 episodes
of series 1.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
good.
not fully for it. Yeah,
no, that's fine. But the second series, I would say, a story kicks into it, whereas the first series is just like I'm a hero for fun, and he's just messing around, and the story is kind of vague. There is a direction in series 2. And it is following the downfall of this one's hero, and he's slowly turning himself into a villain and literally trying to turn himself into the human monster.
Oh, right.
And it's such an interesting premise, but series 2, in my opinion, anyway, the animation of it wasn't worth the wait. If series 2 like that came out the year after One Punch Man, the first series, and I was just like, okay, cool, they rushed it, that's fine, they wanted to get it out. In my opinion, it wasn't worth the wait. It was fine, but then I was just like, no, the manga is beautiful. So I kept on reading the manga, and my goodness, I've said this before, there are some scenes, some pieces of artwork in the One Punch Man manga that I just genuinely think, how are they going to animate this? How? Anyway, off track a little bit. Let's get back onto Solo Leveling. So when this system breaks, it is a testament in my eyes to the protagonist, this Jinwoo, that's being manipulated. He's starting to become aware that he is.
He starts questioning the system.
He starts questioning the system because yes, look, he sacrificed himself basically and was given a second chance, and he always wondered why me? Why did I get the second chance? But then all of these video game things start happening to him. He gets power-ups. He gets more and more powerful. But when these glitches happen, he's aware that there are parameters. So he can only get so strong. He can only do a certain amount of things. The game does not allow him to be leisurely. He has to train every day. If he chooses not to train, then the game punishes him. Negative reinforcement. You don't do this, then we're going to punish you. But if you do what we tell you to, then we're going to give you a reward. You know, you get to keep living. You get to do this. Jinwoo's in it for the kicks. He likes it because he's always wanted to be strong, and he is insanely motivated to bring his mother back to health. But as soon as he helped his mum and went to the final layer of hell, defeated the Demon King, and got the Demon King's Drake, which is sick. I love that. Then Jinwoo was just like, what do I do now? I really don't care anymore. I don't know what I want to do. He kept on training, but above that, he didn't really do anything else.
It's interesting, like once you kind of lose that sort of first purpose as to what you're fighting, sort of thing, and then trying to like redirect to go, oh, I need to now change the way I fight, sort of thing. Yeah. Because that's when his sort of change becomes more in regards to, okay, I want to protect the others, or protect sort of people who are weaker than me, because I was weak before, sort of thing. Yeah. That's kind of when his sort of his direction changes. After his mum sort of healed, and I think his mum even maybe kind of puts him in that direction, because he sort of lulls for a bit, and he spends some time with Gina and his mother, and I think his mum mentioned something about his dad or something along those lines, and that kind of puts Jinwoo in a new direction as to where he wants to go next. But yeah, no, it's very sort of an interesting sort of direction he then chooses to go next.
And I liken that to the correlation of a player and a game master, per se. Someone who's designed a game, or a dungeon master. When a quest has been fulfilled, when a main campaign is done, what do you want your players to do next? If that's the end of the game, how do you keep your players going? Is because some games were always meant to be one and done. Like, as soon as you're at the end of the story, there's no more to it, and that's that.
One shot coin soon.
Yes, absolutely. Get ready for a one shot. Yeah, that's a doozy. No spoilers. Oh, he's on the other side of the one shot. Poor little pickle. Anyways, yeah. A dungeon master or a game master, in my eyes, wants a game to have a purpose. You either replay that story over, or there's more to do. Like, for example, in Dungeons and Dragons, the biggest correlation of solo leveling, a dungeon master will go, okay, there's more to do in this world. You've done one quest, time to go to the next one. Or there's something that's been made obvious in this quest, perhaps you need to pursue it. Or if you don't know what to do, maybe sit down, have a discussion, and have a plan about what to do next as well. Either way, the system and the game wants you to keep going. For as long as you want to play the game, the system wants you to keep going. The interesting thing about this is that the game didn't actually formally tell what Jinwoo needs to do. No. They didn't turn around and say, like, you have to do that. The only thing that they're basically telling Jinwoo to do is train all the time. Keep going, keep going. It is Jinwoo's choice when he's given all of these artifacts and these items, like the mystery key dungeon, the elixir of life, when he, yes, of course, when he gets the shadow army as well. Jinwoo has done that himself. You can almost argue that that's some sort of free will. However, it's still within the parameters of the game. And the fact that he's been granted all of these abilities and he's running a course, you could almost think that the game master and the dungeon master wants him to do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the end of season 1 could probably maybe sort of push back slightly in regards to, like, when he chooses not to be sort of the Shadow Monarch. The system goes, oh no, you are. Like, you're given yes or no, and he says no first time round. And it's like, but then the system kind of goes, oh, you mean yes? It's like, no, I mean no. They're questioning it for a while, going, yeah, well, I do mean no, but I don't think I've got a choice now. And then he decides to kind of have a proper thing. Okay, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
It's really interesting that you remember that, actually, because that just gives the illusion of choice. And it's so difficult in Dungeons and Dragons sometimes for me to watch dungeon masters give that illusion of choice. Like, you have so much to do in this world, and you decide to go like, I want to stay in this tavern the whole time. You go into the tavern and the final boss is in the tavern anyway, or something like that. That's like the dungeon master spent weeks and weeks planning them leaving the tavern and going to the Golden Gateway on the side of the mountain, and then the party suddenly decides to go like, nah, you know what? No, I'm not about that. I want to stay here and do something else. And then they still direct them on the story that they wanted to. It's like you go into the tavern and you find that you still end up at the Golden Gate, and you're just like, the illusion of choice. Like, I guess I am doing that because the dungeon master wanted them to do that. They have a vision for a story, and sometimes that is itself a system. They have rules. They want things to be a certain way, and that's great. As a game designer, you want things to be a certain way, but at the end of the day, it's a story that you're providing. But when you give it to a consumer, it's not your story anymore. It's their experience. You know?
Yeah, I think it's sort of nudge theory, isn't it? Where you're like, you're given choices, but then the dungeon master kind of goes, "Oh yeah, but we want the story to go in this direction, so you got to kind of choose this choice."
Yeah, I mean, me as a dungeon master, I'd say the gorgeous campaign of Adventures of the Lost Omens. I'm not trying to big it up, but I'm trying to say that this campaign in particular, everything, the direction of the story is based off of the Lost Omens decisions. This whole thing. I have a vision for the larger picture, of course, and the larger realm as well. But this specific story, every session that they complete, I'm writing the next chapter based on what they have done. And that is based around their decision. That's a system that wants them to get better in their way, whereas a system that wants them to get stronger in the system's way would go like, say for example, you guys go to the woods, and then I suddenly say just like Littleton blows up, and like a dragon appears, and it seems you have to defend Littleton again. Guess you guys aren't leaving Littleton yet.
Richard
you know,
would probably come out. Yeah.
Yes, he would. But that's just an example, isn't it? And that's like the Shadow Monarchs. It's like, we're going to leave Littleton. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay, guess we're not. You know, but there's a difference between the system that helps and the system that manipulates. And unfortunately, there are a lot of dungeon masters that do this. It's railroading, and it keeps them going the way that they want them to go for the purpose that they're being fulfilled. There's something that they want to happen. This system wants something to happen, and things to run in their way, to be perfect in their vision. Whereas another system is, yes, there are parameters and there are rules. It's quite interesting to think about it.
I mean, I think, doesn't that kind of sort of the fragility of a story to a degree? Like when a writer writes a book, to a degree, part of their experiences is kind of put inside someone's character, put in the character sort of thing.
But every time a story is read or experienced, be it in a game or a book or an anime, we instill ourselves. We try to relate to this character. We try and get inside their heads. No story will ever be perceived the same way. It's always going to be unique to the experience of each individual, you know? Even if it is ever so slightly, it's impossible for people to have the exact same outlook and opinion of every single strand of information in media. It is scientific facts, literally. But
that's kind of where it becomes sort of better to a degree, where we can sort of have these discussions like different sort of directions of travel and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, but like the way that people decode and experience it is completely different.
Oh yeah.
But that's not to say that you can't communicate what your experience is like to others for them to be able to understand it. That's completely different. I agree with you there. yes, sometimes giving the illusion of choice is an exciting thing as well. I remember like there's two examples that pop into my head. um, one of them is a game called Undertale, that essentially gives you it gives you a choice to like spare someone or kill them basically. And the people that spare them, they're just like, oh cool, the game carries on. And the people that kill them, it's a very brutal death. And then they decide to reset the game.
Yeah.
And then the game remembers. The game literally starts to said, you regret killing her, didn't you? You regret killing her, but unfortunately, we still remember. You might play this game over a million more times, but I will always remember you killed her and you didn't like it. When I watched that gameplay, I was just like, that's weird. That's really cool. But like, there's a decision that you've made, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do that. Go back, and the game's just like, nah, mate, you made that decision. You can't undo it.
That's cool. Does Fallout do a similar thing?
I don't know. I'm not really too much of a player of Fallout.
Yeah. I think I've heard it does something similar, but I can't remember what it is. But I know there's similar mechanics. I think BioShock maybe another one where like you're given sort of that sort of mortality choice in regards to like, do you end someone or do you perceive the fact that they can change all this kind of stuff? I think the thing that maybe fails in that game's narrative is like you're forced to regret it, but maybe in your own mind that choice in your head at the time felt logical because the context of whatever situation felt logical for that time. Like the game's telling you regret it, but do you really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll bring that back to solo leveling. And
I mean that'll come down to
I think so. And I'll briefly say that I really want to say what the second example is, but
the second dungeon.
The
second dungeon.
The second dungeon. Yeah. Because essentially, they're in this in solo leveling. They're in this area in the first couple of episodes, where they think they're free of consequence, and essentially the choice is leave or stay, isn't it? And for all those that leave or decide to leave, they either die, they die trying, or they leave and they're arguably less whole than the people that stay. They lose a lot of themselves. When they left, there's just like this man was so broken that it cost him his life at some point. He decided to come back at some point in the future, and he's just like, Jinwoo, I'm getting back into it because I regret it, and he ended up losing his life. The healer was, she went a little bit doolally, and she went off the rails, but then she went back into it because of Jinwoo. I wonder if we're gonna see an eventual death scene from her at some point in the future, but who knows?
Boy, that'd be tough. I quite liked her as a character.
I liked her as well.
I like her as a character. She's not dead yet.
She's fine. But I think she's got more of a story to tell. But Jinwoo stayed. He listened to the game. He listened to all of these ridiculously powerful beings around him. He listened and he got rewarded. I'm not saying that this is just like, Jinwoo, when you listen to a dungeon master and you listen to what the game devs and the game designer says to do, you get rewarded. Yes, you get rewarded, but it's, if you could compare that to wider society, this is why I wanted to talk about this, because there's so many different things. Just like, you listen to the rules, yes, but sometimes the rules are shit. You listen to it, but at what cost, you know?
Yeah. I think rules are such a tough one because, like, like the way I see rules currently is if they're proven that they work, there's no reason not to follow them, sort of thing. That does also mean question them as well. If they seem stupid or do not in your mind makes sense, maybe that's when you kind of break them to a degree. And we got so many rules being imposed on us at the moment that we don't even know about. And being able to sort of know the context of how those rules were built, what motives were driven to create those rules, and maybe some rules that have a well-meaning principle, but what's their end goal if you take that thought to its logical conclusion? But to do that, you don't just sit around and chill. You have to sort of sit around and think for a while and kind of go, oh, what's the end goal for this, or what's the end goal for that, or how far, even with someone with good intentions at the start, someone could then take that rule set and then push it to its absolute extreme.
Basically,
Yeah.
Because and yes, the guidelines are there to help us to live through this world in a very, very safe way, but some rules are there for the benefit of others as well. And
I mean, we're seeing that kind of play out now, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's true. And what I like about solo leveling and Windbreaker is that when there are rules in place and people make these rules, some people think that they are free of consequence. And the correlation to a video game is when a player plays a game over and over again, constantly loses, maybe they die in the game, maybe they can't get to a certain checkpoint of the game, or they can't figure out a riddle. They're free of consequence because they could just keep doing it over and over and over and over again until they get it right. Or they look up a tutorial online, lickety split, they're done, they're free of consequence. They don't have to struggle. And here is why a video game, this break from reality, this immersion into another world, is so fulfilling to so many people, including D&D, because there is immersion. You're escaping to another world. You can be someone else, tell another story, experience other things, make these choices that you genuinely wouldn't want to, or have to make, or want to make in real life.
Yeah.
However, consequences are very real.
Yeah.
Because of that, there has to be that reminder there is a ground that we stand on. And when we do these things that don't necessarily cause regret on every choice that we make, but definitely for most of them, there will be something or someone that suffers for it. All variables need to be taken into account to realize that this might be another reality, but this reality isn't giving you omnipotence. It's not giving you total free will. There is agency. Agency is what you're rewarded as a player, but there's parameters and foundations of a game to make it what it is, a groundwork which you have to stand on. The rules are there to give you the mechanics to immerse yourself through the game. And yes, you can break those mechanics, but there is also other things in the game and challenges that remind you that there are obstacles and things that you have to overcome, because in essence, it is another version of reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite a big old quote. Saw through.
I locked in.
Yeah. Hope you enjoy the content so far. If you are, like, comment, and subscribe, and also carry on watching. Yeah, I think if you want to sort of run that through to sort of where I sit right now, sort of thing. You've got foundational rules that everyone knows not to break, sort of thing. And then you've got, lesser rule sets that aren't as important to a degree, but at the same time, like, because the system's already been set in place, like, if you choose to break those rules, you have to also be comfortable with the consequences of that. From a point of view from where I can speak, from a self-defense point of view, there, if you're defending yourself in a situation, there could, even though you're trained not to, or in my case, I'm trained not to, like, you can't go, you must have equal force to your aggressor.
Yeah, of course.
The context in which that fight takes place, you may not do that. You may very well over crank it and kind of be the one at fault. And to a degree, you have to be comfortable with the idea that you may be the one at fault, but you survived. But in doing so, you have to be also comfortable with the consequences of, you may go to prison for a while, but you're alive for the time being.
Crikey.
The sanctity of life is important. So, in your case, or in someone else's case, if you're defending yourself on that principle, be aware that you may very well be seen as the villain, and you may have to you may have to embrace that for the fact that you defended yourself at the time, or you protected others in the process. There's been a few stories as of late where guys have defended others, but because they've overcranked and gone too far, whether that's right or wrong, they've been prosecuted for that. I personally don't agree with that, but that's how defensive rules have worked so far. There's a lot of factors that come into it, but if you're working to protect others, be aware that you may be the one going to prison for that, or vice versa, or you may be the one being charged for that. But if you're doing the right thing in the process, kind of be comfortable with that fact that
yeah,
don't sort of impede yourself because of the consequences. If you can do something, do it.
to caveat ever so slightly, I'd like to think that, video games and these animes that correlate to this different reality, which alludes to such rules like solo leveling, and I'll briefly touch upon Windbreaker in just a moment, that it's there to teach us. It's there to show us that, look at these people that you can play as, and look at these characters that are fighting back against the system, or that they're aware that there is a system and they reject it, and they just want to do what they want to do, make the decisions that they always want to make, or they decide to stand up for themselves, whether it's right or wrong. They think that it's right. The morals that you learn from that, they're passionate, they're human, and they're emotional, and they're raw. And it's like, I also remember in Black Ops 2, when you're given a lot of choices in the game, and the campaign can have multiple endings. And I remember the overruling antagonist, Menendez, being like Mr. modern day, like, cyber terrorist, essentially, who basically tried to start World War III. He basically just hacked all of the drones and just started cyber warfare. And he was the result of the death of the main character, David Mason's father. He crippled Woods. He had caused grief to a lot of the original Black Ops team, and so much grief throughout the entire campaign. And you finally get him where you want him at the very end of the campaign. You're given the decision: do you lock him away, do you throw him in prison, or do you pull the trigger and do you end his life? And I remember the first time I did it as a child, I was angry. I was really, really angry. And I'd never been given the decision to take a life before. And I genuinely thought, if I take this man that's caused so much suffering out of this world, this is going to solve a problem. So I did it. I pulled the trigger. Menendez passed away. Then the ending unfolded, and then I realized that's what Menendez wanted. Menendez then released a video and said, if you're seeing this video, I'm dead. He became a martyr, and he said, this is exactly what I proved would happen with the American government. Cordis DA movement, you know what to do next. Like, this is your proof. and understanding that the world will, and this higher power, this system will never change, destroy the system. And then I was just like, as a kid, I genuinely thought, just like, did I just get the bad ending? Did I just basically cause civil war? I'm like, oh shit. So then I played the game again, and then I locked Menendez away, and that was better because when he was locked away, not only could he witness us hacking into the drones and stopping the warfare, we kind of mocked him for it and just said, you're just an angry man with just a vengeance. And in prison, he was just sat there and he was just like, I remember he just beat his head against the TV out of anger. And then he was just seething in his hatred. And it was just like, there you go.
Yeah.
The villain got what he deserved when there was a lack of violence, this lashing out, this breaking of the system. When you hold back these things, it was an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean, what I personally learned is like lashing out doesn't always work. Like,
no, of course not.
Like it's sort of aggressive on the forefront. It puts a persona out there that you may need at the time, but in the same breath, because it's so irrational, if you're then questioned on certain things you've then lashed out for, you actually can't go back to the memories you sort of had.
Yeah.
The benefits of having control over your aggression or anger or all that sort of stuff is if someone is to then question you on your choices, you're more calculated in the way that you're seeing the world. So you're more to your own account when you're making those choices. So there's sort of you can kind of exude a presence in a room.
Oh, of course.
And that's probably a better sense of like people not walking over you. Kind of creating that presence and going, oh, okay, that's okay. I like if people sort of know that maybe throwing you the wrong way is not a good idea, sort of thing. That's better than lashing out. And probably in the practical sense, what does that mean in the practical sense? That means, most arguments start off with some, I don't know, a quote or like a conversation point. The way I've been able to navigate as of lately is a conversation will start and your aim is to de-escalate, but like you're not de-escalating in the fact that you're going to be sort of submissive. You're going to de-escalate in the fact that you're going to kind of prove your point, but then also try and shut it down that it doesn't go any further, or vice versa. If they've got a valid opinion, then you back off your point, sort of thing.
So I want to bring in Windbreaker to that point from what you were just discussing, so I didn't forget. Windbreaker is a very interesting one for us to dive into with game correlations, because unlike solo leveling, where it's explicitly this is D&D, Windbreaker's not so obvious, but this whole thing, this element about I'm free of consequence, I can do what I like, that is a big thing in Windbreaker. Big thing. And it wasn't until the second series where they actually mentioned it in the Red Light District arc. The leader of Gravel, the leader of the minor antagonistic group at the end of the series. There were cracks in his personality where he likened things to a video game. It's just like, oh, this is just like a video game. This is just like a video game. On the surface level, excuse me, that is just an enjoyment. He clearly likes video games, but beneath the surface, that's his inner child. He never really grew up in a world that was accepting of him. He grew up in the slums, the dirt and the suffering and the pain. But like begging for rations, splitting a singular biscuit like between 15 people.
Yeah.
He was starving, he was thirsty, he never had a chance to grow up and let his child hobbies flourish, you know, and for him to grow up and mature properly. So he was still just begging the world for him to have that chance to be a kid, basically. But he was forced to grow up. So when he grew up in a survival way, he viewed things as a video game to like take the pain away.
Sort of
like this
rationalise
is a different reality. So if I treat things like a video game, I'm above consequence and I can get the rewards. I can get the video game rewards. So he listened. He listened to another system. He listened to bad men. He listened to, like, if you kidnap this woman, bring her back for us and trash up the red light district, then we'll give you food.
Yeah.
And then he learned when he was fighting on the scene from Furin High that wasn't the case. They're just like, what you're doing is you're lashing out and you're angry and you haven't even stopped to consider that there are different outcomes and different choices. You've so focused on survival the whole time.
Well, it was clever as well, because the character who was making that quote had dealt with issues himself.
Of identity.
Yeah. And the way in which I can't remember his name now.
Neither. I know the one that you're talking about.
Yeah. Like, he's very flamboyant.
He was more comfortable dressing up with makeup on.
Yeah.
With makeup, with long hair, with crop tops and dresses as well.
It's funny, like I said to Matt on the conversation as long as I again, I never really understood it. And in the episode, the context in which it was written, I was like going, oh, okay, I can kind of understand it now. It still isn't me, but I could kind of have a better grasp on the idea. But the way in which the sort of juxtaposition of both themselves, where they've both gone through difficulties in regards to sort of group recognition, maybe.
Yes.
He wants to recognise it in the group as the one who can lead them to better outcomes. That was his main intention.
Yes.
Like getting food, all that sort of stuff. And then it's so annoying, I can't remember his name. His problem was that he couldn't even enter a group because he was judged already, sort of thing. And the interesting thing is, on the surface level, because Fury sort of look well put together. It doesn't look like they've gone through struggle. Which he then finds out is a misconception.
Of course.
And he then challenged on a lot of his points, going, "Oh, why didn't you go find a job, like a decent job, rather than sort of go and get involved in gangs or sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Why didn't you make this choice when you could have made this choice?" sort of thing. Like, his choices were kind of placed in front of him, and then he had to sort of almost look them in the face, kind of go, "Oh, hang on, I made a wrong decision here," and that was a change.
See where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
This whole video game relation. Oh wait, I always did have a choice.
Yeah.
I made the wrong one. He was unaware of it, and it's fine, because sometimes in life, in the bigger picture of a video game, you click X and you think that's the right answer, and you play the video game to the end and you realize you get the bad ending, and you go back knowing what you know then, and you press A and you get the better ending. If you compare that to life, people go through life thinking that for a very long time they're doing the right thing. they've made the right choice, when they get to the end of a certain segment of that pathway in their life, they realize, oh gosh, I've gone down the wrong path here. I've gone down a darker path. I've become much more sad. I've become much more angry and much more bitter as well. People turning around and say that was a complete waste of my time and a complete waste of my life. I get it. I get it. You're upset and you're emotional.
I've had a few of these conversations. Yeah. I know. I think I know what you're going for. Like,
but you have to go through these things.
Yeah.
You make these decisions to experience, to learn. Like he did. Like what's his face did in Windbreaker.
Yeah.
He made that decision to fully immerse and embrace, and it wasn't until that he was faced with that decision again at a key pivotal moment in his life. Like, look what you are and look what this is to you. Are you really happy? Is this who you want to be? Are you content? You could see it in his eyes and the way that he spoke. I like Windbreaker. When they're soulless, they literally have no colour in their eyes. It's just bleak, just blank purple. Whereas the others have so much personality and life. They always comment on how Sakura's eyes, he's got 2 different coloured eyes, but they're always, everyone says, oh, your eyes are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just like, their eyes are just like, sterile, you know? But it's not until you get to these moments that you realise, oh my gosh, yes, I have walked down a bad path here. I've made mistakes. But from these mistakes, I can move forward in a new way that I'm not too familiar with. I'm a little bit unsure, that is going to make me happier. And these experiences make us who we are and contribute to the greater picture of you finding who you really are meant to be, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely get sort of fixed in a position and then not move from that position, and that's where you kind of get this rivalry. That's kind of where you get this sort of rivalry between what we have now.
Yeah.
I saw a debate not too recently where you see that rivalry come to a head, where both are pretty good in regards to contextual sort of debates, all sort of stuff. I mean, so this is between Jimmy the Giant and Konstantin Kishin. Both are on opposite sides of the spectrum, and because they both see themselves as enemies, they can't rationalise a proper argument for both sides. And what happens is, you know, Jimmy because he's already seen an enemy in his crosshairs.
Yeah.
He can't rationalise what's been said to him. He can't sort of think ahead. Like, Jimmy kind of wants to hit on important issues, and then Constantine comes back with, we've touched on those issues before, but because he's so bull in the headlights, nothing's going in.
Yeah.
And that means the debate can't move any further, because what ends up happening is Constantine sort of pushing it, sort of calling him out in regards to false accusations, all that stuff. And Jimmy, because he's so blasé, you're the right wing hate, all that stuff. He can't see past what's being said, which means he can't rebuttal what's being said to Kissing, which is a shame, because they, when on watching both their sides and both their points of views, both have merit, but because they both have merit, but they can't see past each other's sort of colours, they don't get to a result. They just sort of stick in the same situation they were an hour into the. But yeah.
No, I get what you mean. And the one thing that popped into my head when you were talking about that is, in a different way, one of my favourite entries of post-Endgame Marvel was Loki.
Yeah.
Not because of Loki's characterization, but how it used the multiverse and themes of time travel in an extremely clever way to basically show us, like, sometimes things will always be the same throughout the entire vastness of infinite possibilities, and through time travel back and forward in time, there are some things that you literally cannot change. And one instance of that is at the end of series 1, the female Loki, Sylvie, brilliant character. Her universe had been destroyed by the TVA. So she was, of course, looking for the source and the master of the TVA, who is He Who Remains. And when she finally had He Who Remains in her crosshairs, He Who Remains revealed, like, if you destroy me, you will release all of my variants across the multiverse, and the multiverse will die. Everything will crumble and die into nothingness. And then Loki is turning around and going like, whoa, that don't sound good. But Sylvie, they have a fight. Loki and Sylvie have a fight. She throws him through the portal. She destroys He Who Remains, and what he says comes to pass. In series 2, she's thrown herself into a new life away from everything, and she just doesn't care anymore. She's had her revenge, and she's content. Yeah. But whereas Loki turns around and he's glitching through time, and he's just like, Sylvie, literally, the multiverse is dying. The multiverse is dying, and I'm a fragment through time. We've got to fix this. Sylvie turns around when he's trying to fix everything and goes, if you're trying to say that you're going to go back in time to try and convince me to not kill He Who Remains, I hate to spoil it to you. The person that I was then, I know for a fact you are not going to be able to change it. The only way that you're going to have to prevent me from killing him is by killing me. Yeah. And that was when, because he had kept on going back and forward infinitely through time to try and find a way, and he ultimately realized that, like, no, I don't want to kill you because I love you. I don't want you to kill He Who Remains, because if you kill He Who Remains, then we're all done for. So he's like, so what do I do? He ultimately does, at the end, the most poetic thing. He does what he's always been. He's been the outcast god. He's always wanted people in his life, but he went back to the life that he had always hated, but with greater purpose. You know, he went back and he became He Who Remains. He took on responsibility so everyone could live in prosperity. But what I wanted to say there was that in that moment, Sylvie was that bull in headlights. There was nothing, there's not a single force in the multiverse that could have stopped her from getting her revenge. No convincing. When you're seeing red, when you're angry, you're so sure that, like, I'm going to make this decision, and you make it. Like what I did in Black Ops 2. I was so angry, I wanted to make that decision, and I wouldn't have prevented me from making that decision either way. But then, when that decision passes, Sylvie did ultimately realize, just like, oh yeah, the multiverse is screwed. But she still had no regrets. Just like, no, I don't want him to be spared. I made that decision at the time, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. Whereas Loki is just trying his best to try and understand it. Like, oh, I don't get it. Sylvie then turns around and said, but that was my decision. That was my life. That was what I wanted to do. And then Loki ultimately realizes, okay, so this is a testament to my life. What do I need to do? Yeah. So sometimes a decision that one person makes at the time will always be, and yes, they'll realize in the future that, yes, maybe I should have done that. And they're correcting themselves. And that, in correlation, in the Loki series, influence someone else's development and push them in another direction. Just like maybe me being with you and so besotted with you, you know, I want to be with you, I love you, but the best thing that I can do for everyone, the best thing I can do to love you and to have you in my life is to not be with you and throw myself out of everyone's lives and be the person I know that I have to be to save everyone. It's strong. It's deep. It's a very sad story.
Have you made that this in sort of real life? Is like, oh man, this sucks. Because you sort of,
oh yeah,
you still sort of see them, and they going, oh, I've made the sort of, I've given my word that nothing's going to happen now, sort of thing. And you sort of have to still sort of, you see them in sort of a friendly light, sort of thing, but you sort of know that you sort of killed part of yourself off, and then in the process they're going, oh boy, this sucks. But like, parties they're going, at least they're still here.
Yeah, I get that. There are pieces and parts of you that will always be. There will always be chapters of your lives where you were versions of yourself. And in Loki, it was like your variants of yourself. You know, that they literally represent that as different people, versions of you across the multiverse, and it was done in a very intelligent way, which I love. But in reality and in video games as well, each person that, like, the avatar of yourself in a video game is a version of yourself that dies, that passes on. That was your approach to life. That was you, and you learned something from that, and then you come back as the same avatar but with a different vision. I'm not saying in reality that version of you dies. That version of you remains as a part of a system in the ether, as part of who you are to push yourself forward. But, you know.
Yeah, so, like, if you kind of, I don't know, spin it back a little bit maybe. It's like it kind of comes down to sort of that sort of finality life again sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
you know, don't regret your choices so much.
No,
like
of course not.
You learn in those choices sort of thing. But in those moments where you're kind of given a different choice or one that's pivotal, you know, kind of go back on what you've learned and then make that decision. There's a quote that I kept on my Instagram page that, you know, I keep going back to because it kind of resonates with me quite a bit, and it's from Matt Smith's Doctor, and it's, you know,
is it his regeneration?
Yeah. It's like we're all different people, all through our lives.
Yes,
and that's okay. You know, you got to keep moving forward.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Just so long as you remember the people that you were and the people that you are going to be.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, I remember the full quote is just like, we all change and that's okay so long as we keep moving and remember who we're.
Yeah. Because at least you got that focal point to go, oh, this is who I was, this is who I am now, and this is where I'm going, sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's okay, you know. You ultimately always want to have those moments of your life where you're in utter bliss and enjoyment all the time, and you just want to be happy all the time. But things change, whether you want them to or not. There's some things that you can't control. The system changes.
Yeah,
I remember in Solo Leveling, there was Jinwoo. He was having the time of his life. He was the most powerful hunter. He had destroyed the big bad threat, the big An, and he was just like, hooray, I'm great. And then the A-class hunter, she was dying.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, this is cool. Let me just bring her back to life. Let me use some healing potions. Nothing was working.
Yeah.
And he began to panic because something was changing. It was beyond his control. What do I do?
It's the first time he's been denied anything. Everything else at this point is pretty easy to a degree. And it's the first time they're going, oh, you can't actually do this stuff.
So he realised he had to make again, there was a regret. He brought the S-rank healer back to life as his minion to revive her, but it was shame in doing it. He didn't want to do it, but then so instead of keeping the S-rank, he could have had that S-rank as his slave, permanently have literally an S-rank healer on his team to bring him back to life and good health all the time. But then Jinwoo, out of the change that he had to make, his ability, the whole series up until that point, he was constantly enslaving people. There was an A-rank hunter that died that he permanently enslaved. Iron's cool. Iron's really cool. But a mortal man died and he enslaved his soul as part of his army. Enslaved an army of orcs, an army of knights. But in that moment, Jinwoo decided to say, like, no, I could use you, but I don't deserve to have you. You deserve to rest. Which was great. That storytelling. That is, the whole time he's enslaving the Shadow Army. And in the final episode, he enslaves probably one of his most useful minions, and he decides to let them go.
Yeah.
It's almost full circle. Almost. Because in that moment, he had to change and become a different person, a different lens. Jinwoo then decided, this is my new purpose. I need to stop focusing on becoming stronger.
Just powerful.
I've got all the power. There are moments clearly where I almost lost someone I cared about today. They lost someone they almost cared about, and it was because I thought I was high and mighty and nothing could affect me.
Yeah.
And he had to realize that there's still things I've got to learn, still things I've got to do, where he ultimately then decided, like, I'm going to start my own hunters association.
Yeah.
My own guild, sorry. I need to become a better person.
Yeah.
And remind myself of the Jinwoo that I once was. Whereas Windbreaker, they make these decisions and they lash out at the world as well. They think that they're doing the right thing. They're above consequence, and they want to fight and hit out and just have big fights all the time. If I constantly just hit people and scrap things up and listen to these bad men and basically get rewarded by remaining alive or remaining intact all the time.
Yeah.
But there is still they always, in the end, the antagonists so far realize that they always had a choice, and they just walked down the wrong path and got misguided in themselves. It wasn't life. Well, for Gravel, I think life was pretty harsh on them, but it was still them that ultimately was just like, oh, this is how life is, so this is how I've always got to be. But yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see Sakura and Endo sort of have it out, because you got the two dualities, like this is who you could have been, and this is who you are now, sort of thing.
I wonder if there's any form of redemption in Endo. I doubt it.
I kind of think no, on the purpose of the fact that previous seasons they've redeemed most of their sort of villain sort of thing. And I'm intrigued to know how they kind of go, maybe we can't redeem this. Or like how Sakura would sort of rationalize it down, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like what is his end point to kind of go, I'm quite sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I remember that in Demon Slayer as well. Throughout Series 1, every demon that Tanjiro defeated, you always had a backstory for them. They were always a mortal man or woman before they became a demon. They had a tragic life, and they pushed themselves to this demonic life to better themselves, to become stronger, to get healthier. And the demon blood in them, this path, this temptation of the devil, this evil life, was what made them into a monster. They thought it was the right thing. They were desperate. I mean, yeah, if anyone is dying and a bad person comes along and offers them a way out, and is just like, sell your soul, basically, and I will help you. And of course they do. They're desperate. They're dying. And then they become a worse version of themselves. But on their death's door, they realized who they were and realized this. Yes, no, I am now at peace about who I am, and I am like I'm dying. I'm passing on, but I have repented and I've realized who I am in those last moments. I was never a demon. I was never meant to be a demon. I was a human. And some of those, that's really sad and tragic. But Tanjiro is just like, everyone has a chance to change. But then you have the upper six, and then you have some demons where redemption is impossible.
Yeah,
I'd say like Gyotaro, he had a tragic lifestyle. They basically, they destroyed his mum, died, and they tried to destroy his sister, burn his sister, pick her apart. So he lashed out at the world, and he was dying, and the demon comes along and said, oh, it's not fair that happened to you, so hey, kill them all. He was like, yeah, cool. Still a tragic, but then he is just like, even dying is just like, I don't regret who I was. I don't regret becoming a demon and taking revenge on the world. I wouldn't have changed anything. So that was the transition period where redemption of like humans becoming demons and realizing like, no, I never should have become a demon. At that point in the upper six, he was just like, yeah, I did some terrible things. Maybe I shouldn't have become a demon, but you know what? I wouldn't have changed a thing because I was angry and bitter of the world, and I took my revenge, and it felt good.
Yeah.
So there are still people out there that make these choices, and it's scary. It is, and that's when Tanjiro begins to realize that not everyone is a nice person.
Yeah.
In series 3, when he's up against Huntengu as well, that creep, that the one with all those split personalities, where he's just constantly crying all the time, and you think, oh, why is he crying? Why is he upset? You realize he's just a nasty person. He's just constantly gaslighting people into thinking that he wasn't a thief, he didn't commit this crime, this, that, or the other, and he ends up like killing them out of stress. He's crying not because he's innocent, he's crying because he got caught. And that the fact that he was a demon and he was always crying all the time, that was a representation of his worst. You know. And then Tanjiro was just, that's when he lost it. He's just like you're trying to kill these humans, and even now you're crying. He's just like, you're heartless, which is quite poetic, actually, that Tanjiro had to strike him through his heart to destroy him. That was where the demon put their head. And I like that. Tanjiro's like, how can you be so heartless? Destroys his heart. And in doing so, realize that not every villain, not every person that I face in this world can be redeemed. And that's okay. You know, realize that in real life as well. When you're so sure that you think someone in your life can be redeemed, chances are they can. But unfortunately, I'm sorry, there's a lot of people that can't be redeemed. They wouldn't have regretted those ill choices that they made. They are going to walk down that path, and they like it. And it's sad, but sometimes the only person that can help themselves is themselves. You can't do that, otherwise it will ultimately push you to be destroyed. You know.
It'll ultimately infect you in the process.
Basically, and that's what Solo Leveling and Windbreaker actually touched on. This is why I wanted to break down this video game thing. And that's what I said at the start of the podcast. It's not just, look, it's like a video game, you know? It's like, no, it's a reality. And people think that they're above these rules, but there's a system, and it's what you do within the system and the choices that you make. And I mean, it's really hard to summarize. Hence why we'd spent an entire podcast episode discussing it. It's quite a debative, that's a word.
Complex.
It's quite complex, and it is. And I'd say that Elliott and I didn't really reach a conclusion with this podcast. We spoke about a lot of these things, but really there's no, it's constantly changing. You conceive things through like a certain lens in certain ways, but literally, as we just said, there will always be people that disagree and don't see it, and people beyond redemption, things that you won't be able to change, choices that you should be making at the time. Yes, in the future you realize that's not the choice that you should have made, but it's still a part of your life and your experiences, you know. Getting from a simple correlation of an anime looks like a video game to that, it's just me time. Anything else to add?
No, I think I'm covering mine.
I'm happy that we got to discuss this. It was an important one. I felt, you know, even though something is a different reality, we're not above consequence. We all have a choice. Sometimes a choice will lead you to basically the same thing, either side. But it's what you do with your circumstance, with this illusion of choice sometimes, to then realize that, yes, to get through this gateway, this dungeon, to get through this where I was offered a choice and I come out the other side, it's who I am then, that moment in time where you reflect upon yourself and who you are. That's what you do then, to go like, what do I do because of said choice to then push myself on a pathway that benefits me, you know?
Yeah.
So fight the system. Fight the system. No. Fight the system. Break the system. Glitch the system. No. We're all, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah?
I'll probably say, I want to break the system.
No, it's not break the system, but like...
I'll say question it.
Oh, yeah.
Question
the system.
Yeah. Like, but just because someone's telling you that, oh, the rules tell you that you must do this all the time, you know, kind of research into that. Well, I touched on it briefly, like research into why that rule was made, what was the context for that rule to be sort of made, and does it make sense in your mind? But also, like, don't see the rule for what it is. What if it's carried out to a further? What if that rule's pushed out even further? What's that sort of consequence for that rule? And know where the line is, and sort of understand for yourself what your line is, sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
And then that's probably the best way to sort of navigate it, because like at the moment, you know, there's a lot of rules coming in that are under your noses or to stuff, and sort of above our head sort of thing. No one really knows what's going on. Everyone's sort of a bit blasé, and that's sort of not as a sort of a, I want to try and scare you. It's just what's happening at the moment. Unfortunately. Yeah.
All right. I think that will bring this episode to a close. You know, I think we've said what we needed to, and of course, I mean, this wasn't an episode that was on the nose with it, but you never know. If there are a lot of themes that affect you during our discussions on Me Time, you know where we are, and I will always be an advocate for seeking discussions with others as well. I'll always leave the number on a video that I think merits it, of talking out and making sure that these things that people going through life, struggle is real, but you don't have to struggle alone.
I mean, in the comment section, if there's anything that sort of we touched on today or in previous episodes, drop a comment down below, and you know, if you see a comment down below on the video that you have got a sort of a knowledge in, you know, please sort of help that person out, maybe.
Of course.
You know,
we're all in this together, guys. There should be no reason why we need to do things alone. We're all a team, okay?
But also, you know, if there's criticism involved in someone trying to help you, sort of don't be.
Yeah, of course.
Don't be too brutal on them. They're trying to sort of help you out.
So up next is Me Time episode 25. Or is it 25? Yes, it is.
Yeah, 25.
It is episode 25. The final episode of the solo leveling and windbreaker agenda, and the final episode of Me Time.
Yeah.
At least for this year. Well, at least for the weekly thing. So we'll basically say we'll announce a few things at the end of episode 25 and what to expect next.
Yeah.
But we won't formally speak about next year, like we said at the start of the episode. So until then, we're on Spotify. Give us a listen on Spotify. We've got some Me Time bites. Expect more of them to come as well. Yeah. And we'll see you same time next week, 7 o'clock on YouTube and Spotify for Me Time episode 25. All right. Yeah. See you then, guys. Take it easy.
See you soon. Have a good week. Subscribe and like.